Welcome to Sun Moon Saga. I hope you enjoy this story. Let's begin. I recently went on a work trip, leaving my husband Robert at home to take care of our cat, Luna. On the last day of my trip, I received a frantic call from Robert. He was nearly in tears, saying that Luna had run off during their walk at the park. He claimed she darted into some bushes, and despite his extensive searching, he couldn't find her. When I returned home, I noticed that Robert seemed surprisingly calm, while I was devastated. Luna, a small and elderly Siamese, had never acted like this before, which made Robert's nonchalant attitude even more troubling. A few days later, we received a call from an animal rescue organization in a neighboring state saying they had found Luna. The call came through our rarely used landline, which was the contact number on Luna's microchip. I told Robert, and his response was oddly indifferent. Suspicious, I reviewed the footage from his dashcam and was horrified to see him drive Luna to a remote location, let her out of the car, and drive away. Confronting him with the evidence, he claimed he thought she might find a better life there and then became angry with me for checking the footage. Despite the betrayal, I wanted to believe Robert's intentions were good and convince myself that maybe he had done what he thought was best for Luna. Over the next few months, I tried to move past the incident, although I couldn't ignore Robert's increasingly strange behavior. Whenever I spent more than half an hour with Luna, Robert would act out, demanding attention and becoming agitated. I didn't like it, but I chose to ignore it, hoping it was just a phase. One day, as I returned from work, I discovered that Luna was missing once again. Panic set in as I frantically searched the house and called for her, but there was no sign of her. When I asked Robert about it, he casually mentioned that he'd had some friends over and they might have accidentally left a window open. My anger exploded. I yelled at Robert, expressing all the frustrations and grievances I had been holding back about our relationship and his treatment of Luna. The argument grew heated, and I ended up putting up posters of Luna all over the neighborhood, desperate for any leads on her whereabouts. Robert's repeated apologies felt insincere, and my trust in him was shattered. That night, unable to shake my suspicions, I checked his phone while he was asleep. The messages I found confirmed my worst fears. Robert had been planning this with his friends and had even referred to Luna as a little nuisance in their conversations. It was clear he harbored deep resentment towards her. The realization hit me hard. Robert had intentionally let Luna go, and this time, I knew I couldn't ignore the truth. I couldn't sleep at all that night. My mind was racing with anger, betrayal, and heartbreak. How could Robert, the man I loved, do something so cruel? I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling like my whole world was crumbling. I knew I had to take action, but I wasn't sure where to start. The next morning, I decided to call my best friend, Sarah, and tell her everything. She always knew how to give the best advice, and right now, I desperately needed it. Anna, I can't believe he did that. What are you going to do? Sarah's voice was a mix of shock and anger. I could practically see her pacing around her kitchen, her face twisted in disbelief. I don't know, Sarah. I feel so lost. I love Robert, but this is just too much. And poor Luna. I need to find her. My voice cracked as tears threatened to spill over. Sarah suggested I hire a private investigator to help locate Luna and get to the bottom of Robert's deceit. It seemed drastic, but I was desperate. That day, I reached out to a local investigator, Tom, who had a reputation for being thorough and discreet. When I explained the situation to him, he didn't seem fazed, which oddly reassured me. He promised to start looking for Luna immediately and to dig into Robert's recent activities. Meanwhile, I needed to keep things as normal as possible at home to avoid raising Robert's suspicions. It was exhausting, pretending everything was fine while my heart was breaking. A week later, Tom called me with news that shook me to my core. Anna, I found Luna, he said, his voice steady. Relief flooded through me, but it was short-lived. She was with a family about 50 miles away. They took her in, thinking she was abandoned. But that's not all. I discovered Robert's been meeting with another woman, Emily, quite frequently. They seem close. My heart stopped. Are you saying he's having an affair? The room started to spin, as if the betrayal with Luna wasn't enough. Now this? I'm afraid so, Anna. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, Tom said gently. I thanked him and hung up, my mind in turmoil. The next few days were a blur. I got Luna back, safe and sound, but the joy of her return was overshadowed by the crushing reality of Robert's infidelity. Finally, I confronted Robert. I know about Luna, and I know about Emily, I said, my voice trembling with a mix of anger and sorrow. He looked shocked but quickly recovered, trying to deny it at first. But the evidence was irrefutable. The fight that followed was explosive. Years of pent-up frustration and hurt poured out of me, and Robert couldn't deny it any longer. I'm sorry, Anna. I never meant for things to go this far, he said, looking defeated. I felt like you were always paying more attention to Luna than to me. I was jealous of a cat. It sounds ridiculous, but it's the truth. I thought getting rid of her would make things better between us, but I see now how wrong I was. His explanation left me reeling. I couldn't believe that his jealousy had driven him to such cruel actions. The pain and betrayal I felt were overwhelming, and I knew our relationship was beyond repair. I packed my bags, took Luna, and left the house that had once been our happy home. It was time to start a new chapter, one without Robert and his deceit. In the weeks that followed, I leaned heavily on Sarah and my other friends. They helped me find a new place and supported me as I navigated the pain of betrayal and the end of my marriage. It wasn't easy, but having Luna by my side was a comfort. She had been through so much, just like me, and together we started to heal. As I tried to piece my life back together, I got an unexpected call from an old family friend, Margaret. She had known Robert since he was a teenager and had always been like a second mother to him. Margaret had heard about our split and wanted to offer her support. Over coffee, she revealed something that made my blood run cold. Anna, there's something you should know about Robert, she began, her eyes filled with concern. He has a history of pathological lying and deception. When he was younger, he would make up elaborate stories and manipulate people to get what he wanted. His parents covered it up, but it was always there. I thought he had outgrown it, but hearing about what he did to Luna, it sounds like the same old Robert. I was stunned. Margaret's revelation added a new layer to the betrayal I was already grappling with. I felt like I had been living with a stranger. Why didn't anyone tell me? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Margaret sighed, taking my hand. People hoped he had changed. We all did. And Robert can be very charming when he wants to be. But it seems like his old habits never really went away. Her words echoed in my mind, making me question every moment I had spent with Robert. Had our entire relationship been a lie? Determined to understand the full extent of Robert's deceit, I started reaching out to other people who had known him over the years. The stories I heard were shocking. Robert had lied about his achievements, fabricated entire relationships, and manipulated friends and family for his own gain. It was like peeling back layers of a rotten onion, each one more disturbing than the last. The final blow came when I discovered that Emily, the woman Robert had been seeing, was not just a random affair. She was someone he had known long before we met, and their relationship had been ongoing for years. It wasn't just about jealousy over Luna. Robert had been living a double life. This revelation broke me all over again, but it also brought a strange sense of closure. I had been right to leave him, and now I understood just how deep his deception ran. As I processed all this, I leaned on my friends even more. They were my rock, helping me navigate this storm of emotions. Sarah and I would spend hours talking, dissecting every detail, and she always reminded me that none of this was my fault. Slowly, I began to rebuild my life with Luna by my side, cherishing the genuine love and loyalty she offered, unlike the betrayal I had endured with Robert. Through it all, I learned to trust myself again, knowing that I deserved better and that I had the strength to move forward, no matter what challenges lay ahead. Just when I thought I had uncovered all of Robert's secrets, life threw me another curveball. One evening, as I was going through some old documents while packing up the last of Robert's things, I found an envelope tucked away in the back of a drawer. Inside were several letters, written in a woman's handwriting. They were dated years before Robert and I had even met. Curiosity got the best of me, and I began to read. The letters revealed an intense and complicated relationship between Robert and a woman named Laura. It became clear that Robert had been engaged to Laura, but the relationship ended abruptly. The last letter was the most revealing. It detailed how Laura had discovered Robert's lies and manipulations, which had driven her to leave him. My heart pounded as I read her words, realizing that history had repeated itself with me. I felt a mix of anger and sorrow. How many women had Robert hurt with his deceit? And why had I never heard of Laura before? Determined to get answers, I tracked her down online and sent a message, hoping she would be willing to talk. To my surprise, Laura responded quickly and agreed to meet. When we finally sat down together, Laura was a revelation. She was strong, articulate, and had clearly moved on from Robert, but she carried the scars of his betrayal. We shared our stories, finding a strange comfort in each other's experiences. Laura told me how Robert had manipulated her, making her doubt her own sanity, just as he had done to me. Laura also dropped another bombshell. Robert had a child, a daughter he had abandoned when things got too complicated with Laura. The child, now a teenager, had been raised by Laura alone. I was floored. Robert had never mentioned a daughter. The realization that he could abandon his own child made my blood boil. This was the final nail in the coffin for any residual feelings I might have had for him. Leaving that meeting, I felt a strange sense of kinship with Laura and a renewed determination to protect myself and Luna from any further harm. I decided to file for divorce and take legal action to ensure Robert couldn't manipulate me any longer. As I took these steps, I felt a newfound strength and clarity. My life was complicated, messy, and full of drama, but I was finally reclaiming it. With Luna purring beside me, I knew we were on the path to a brighter, more honest future. As I began the legal battle with Robert, it quickly became clear that it would be far from straightforward. Robert's lawyers were relentless, using every trick in the book to delay proceedings and challenge every claim I made. They painted me as the unreasonable one, trying to shift the blame for the marital issues onto me. I felt like I was in a constant state of defensive combat, with each day bringing a new set of challenges and emotional exhaustion. Navigating the legal system was a daunting task. I spent hours in meetings with my attorney, reviewing documents and strategizing. The court battles dragged on, with Robert's team questioning my credibility and scrutinizing every detail of my life. It was draining, both financially and emotionally, but I was determined to see it through. I knew I had to stand firm to protect my rights and ensure that Robert's deceit didn't leave me with nothing. During one particularly grueling court session, I felt like giving up. My lawyer had just finished cross-examining Robert, who continued to present a calm, almost convincing facade. I could see the toll it was taking on my friends and family as they supported me through this grueling process. But then, Sarah and Margaret, along with Laura, rallied around me, offering unwavering support and reminding me of why I was fighting so hard. Despite Robert's attempts to drag the process out, I started to see the light at the end of the tunnel. A breakthrough came when my attorney uncovered evidence of Robert's financial mismanagement and hidden assets, which weakened his position significantly. The final hearings were intense, but the judge seemed to see through Robert's manipulations. It felt like justice was within reach, and I clung to that hope with all my strength. When the court finally ruled in my favor, it was a bittersweet victory. I secured a fair settlement and ensured that Robert's deceitful behavior would not negatively impact my future. I felt a wave of relief mixed with exhaustion, knowing that I had fought hard and won. With the legal battle behind me, I focused on healing and rebuilding my life, grateful for the support of those who had stood by me. Luna and I started to embrace our new beginning, finding solace in our fresh start and the promise of a brighter, more peaceful future. Just when I thought the legal battle was the end of my struggle with Robert, he pulled one last, vicious stunt that left me reeling. One morning, as I was sipping my coffee and scrolling through my phone, I was bombarded with notifications. My heart sank as I saw a barrage of messages from friends and colleagues, all expressing shock and concern. I clicked on one of the messages, only to find my worst nightmare. Private and sensitive information about me, including personal emails and even explicit photos, had been leaked to the media and shared widely on social media. Panic set in as I realized the full extent of the invasion. Robert had not only released intimate photos, but had also sent them directly to my coworkers and boss. The humiliation was unbearable. I felt exposed and vulnerable, as if every piece of my private life had been ripped open for the world to see. My phone rang incessantly with calls and messages, some sympathetic, others cruelly mocking. The fallout was immediate and devastating. My boss called me in for an emergency meeting, his face a mixture of concern and discomfort. It was mortifying to have to explain how Robert's actions had breached my privacy and that I was a victim, not a perpetrator. The incident had tainted my professional reputation, and despite my best efforts to maintain composure, I felt like my career was teetering on the edge. As I struggled to handle the chaos Robert had unleashed, my support network rallied around me. Sarah and Laura helped manage the onslaught of media inquiries and supported me through the emotional toll. We worked with a crisis management team to try and contain the damage, but the hurt was deep. I found myself fighting not just for my privacy, but for my sense of self-worth. Despite the overwhelming despair, I knew I had to stand strong. With the help of legal advisors, I pursued a restraining order against Robert and took action to have the leaked content removed from social media. Slowly, with the support of my friends and a newfound resilience, I began to rebuild my life. It was a painful process, but I refused to let Robert's vindictive actions define me. After the chaos Robert caused, I wasn't sure if I'd ever find happiness again. But then, life surprised me in the most unexpected way. I met James at a local animal shelter. I was there volunteering, trying to heal and give back after all the turmoil. James was there looking to adopt a new cat after his aging Siamese had recently passed. We struck up a conversation, and I quickly found out that he was everything Robert wasn't: kind, genuine, and he had a real soft spot for cats. James and I hit it off immediately. He had this warm smile and an easygoing manner that made me feel at ease. Our shared love for animals brought us even closer, and before long, we were inseparable. It was such a refreshing change to be with someone who genuinely cared about me and my feelings. Luna took to him right away, and that was a huge relief. Seeing how he treated her with so much affection made me realize how different my life could be. Things just seemed to fall into place. James and I decided to move in together, and it was like starting a new chapter of my life. Our home became a cozy haven, complete with a sunlit spot for Luna's favorite naps and lots of space for us to share. We even adopted another cat, a playful little rescue named Oliver, who instantly became part of our family. It was so comforting to see Luna and Oliver getting along and being so happy together. James and I found joy in doing things together. We traveled to some beautiful places, exploring new cities and cozy little towns. Each adventure we shared brought us closer and made me appreciate how lucky I was to have found someone so supportive and loving. Our travels were filled with laughter and new experiences, and it felt like I was living a dream I'd almost given up on. Life has been so fulfilling since I met James. We've even started a small animal rescue charity, something we're both passionate about. It's been amazing to make a difference in the lives of animals and to work together on something we both care about so deeply. Looking back, I can see how much I've grown, and it's all thanks to the love and support James has given me. Luna, James, and I have created a life filled with love, laughter, and endless joy, and I couldn't be happier. It's true what they say: sometimes, when you least expect it, life gives you exactly what you need. Did you enjoy this story? Comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.